All right, let's take a look at our first mini project. It's time to start putting some of the things we've been learning to practice, because what better way to get hands-on experience than to actually experience it? So we've learned quite a bit so far, and we're going to use just a few of the pieces that we have learned. And what we want to do is we want to, in this mini project, concatenate a string and a variable together. And then I want you to output that string to the page, or that final variable. I want you to output that to the page by selecting an element and changing the inner HTML. So let's quickly write that out. Number 1, create a script to concat a string and a variable together. Number 2, using .innerHTML and getElementById, change the inner HTML of an element to be what your variable is. So that's really it. It doesn't seem like a lot at first, but you are going to do this over and over and over and over again in your web development career. And so this is really, really good practice right off the cuff. Now, if you want to see the solution, just keep watching this video and I'll show you exactly how I do it. Otherwise, if you want to give it a shot, now is the time to pause the video and try doing this on your own, which I strongly urge you to do. Definitely try to do this on your own first. But you know what, if you don't feel confident in doing all that just yet, hey, that's okay. You can watch my solution and then you can give it a shot after if you like. So I'm going to create an H1 in here, just some large text. And I'm going to say, my favorite cat is, and then in here, I'm going to put a span of cat name, has an ID of cat name, and it's going to start off with the name Zephyr. And when I refresh my page in here, you can see my favorite cat is Zephyr. Now, what I want to do is I want to exchange Zephyr for something else. Now, I'm going to take a slightly more complicated route here, and well, I have to start with my script, right? So I'm going to start with an opening and closing script tag, and I need to select cat name. So variable cat name is equal to document.getElementById cat name. And if I save and refresh, you'll see, hey, nothing's happened. That's expected. All we did was put a node into a variable. And if we do this, if we type in cat name, you can actually see that it's being selected here. So let's change this, cat name, and it's just selecting Zephyr. That's it. So now the goal is to basically take a string and concatenate to that string. So let's go ahead and actually do this a little more complicated method, and let's call this a variable called Zephyr, and we're going to get the cat name dot inner text. And if we do console.log Zephyr and refresh our page here, hey, it says Zephyr just like that right in there. It's a little squishy, but hey, that's okay because this is just for debugging anyways. So we have Zephyr in there, and that's the current text. That's the current inner text. But for this mini project, we want to concatenate a string and a variable. So we have a variable in here, so let's concatenate the string to it. So let's actually change this. Let's overwrite it. Let's do Zephyr is equal to Zephyr, and let's concatenate a string to it. So it's going to say my favorite cat is Zephyr is equal to Zephyr, whatever that currently is. So it just happens to be this text in here. And Henry. Now the sentence is not going to make sense because I'm pluralizing it, but that's okay. We don't have to make it make sense right now. We just need to make this work. And so let's go ahead and type cat name dot inner text or inner HTML is equal to Zephyr. And so this gets a little messy, but hey, let's give this a refresh. And it says my favorite cat is Zephyr and Henry. Now, actually, a better way of doing this is not necessarily overwriting this. That was just an example. We would probably want a new variable for this. So let's call it cats, and we would change this to cats as well. So we're going to create a new variable called whatever Zephyr is. It has Zephyr's name in there, plus and Henry. So if we work through this backwards, we have cats is equal to Zephyr. What is Zephyr? Zephyr is equal to the cat name.innerText. Well, that's using a variable called cat name. We know that that's this element up in here, and it's getting that inner text. So we know Zephyr is basically this value right here. That's pretty much what it is. Actually, that is exactly what it is. And so it's kind of like saying Zephyr concatenate and Henry. And when you put those together, it looks like this. And so that's what inner HTML is going to be. Your inner HTML is now going to be Zephyr and Henry. And so that's sort of how it works. And if you ever need to replace variables with hard-coded like strings or other values, that's totally okay. Honestly, whatever helps you learn this in your own way is okay. So let's go ahead and save this, refresh, and we can see that cat name is still in here. Cat name, and it selects all of it. Cool. And that is how we replace it. Now, if we wanted to double check this, we could always view page source, and in our view page source, it says my favorite cat is Zephyr. However, when you actually view it with JavaScript enabled, it says my favorite cat is Zephyr and Henry.